Good evening. It's about 9:25 p.m. Central Mountain Time on Monday, June the 7th, 2021. And my review, this video, is going to be on the third Conjuring movie, which has the very unfortunate subtitle being called The Devil Made Me Do It. Now, any of y'all who remember, there used to be a comedian, actor named Flip Wilson, who used to have a skit where, before Tyler Perry with the Medea character, he would dress up as a woman named Geraldine, a kind of a woman from South, and she would always have this catchphrase, and she'd say something like, "Well, the devil made me do it," or I went somewhere and the devil made me do that. Anyway, she's always blaming everything on the devil. The devil. Uh, so when I first heard about this movie and the case, I was really hoping that maybe it would be a good change of pace for the Conjuring series. The two movies have focused mainly on haunted houses and families who have been, haunted by demonic, paranormal activity. Uh, the first one was great. The second one focused on the infamous Enfield poltergeist, and that has mainly been kind of debunked, um, debated among paranormal uh, paranormal investigators, researchers, psychologists, anybody, even photographers who have actually said that the pictures those of the girls levitating, they were actually just jumping in midair, and somebody was able. You can take so many pictures of someone in midair if you got a good shutter speed that it can look like they're floating in air, or in this case, being levitated by a evil spirit. Now, regardless of what actually happened with the Enfield poltergeist case, there was a great character with the Crooked Man. I mean, he was worth the price of admission. Even if, and I know good well they took a lot of liberties with the both previous films. They were worth the price of admission to watch them both, because seeing all this spookiness, and even if you don't really believe Ed and Lorraine Warren, uh, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga have pretty much made them very three dimensional, and I want to give credit to where credit's due, because uh, both uh, both actors have really done a good job in all three films, and that's kind of the problem with the third film, because by now you're used to them, and I guess there was a tendency of the filmmakers to put them front and center. And now the third movie, The Devil Made Me Do It, deals with a very specific legal case that happened in the early 80s. I think it was 81, 82. A young man, he was in New England. Uh, Arnie Johnson had stabbed a man, uh, and he claimed that the offense was demonic possession. Now, this was the first time in American legal history this has ever been entered. It wasn't entered in the late 70s with the David Berkowitz case under Sam. And I was really, really, really hoping that they would make a good courtroom drama, kind of like what they did with The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which came out about 15, 16 years ago. It starred Tom Wilkinson, Campbell Scott, Jennifer Carpenter, and some other actors I can't really place. But this is not that type of film. And I was very disappointed, and you probably will be very disappointed too. This is more kind of like a Law and Order two-parter. Uh, I mean, literally, you could replace Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga with Christopher Maloney and oh God, Mariska Hargitay and or any of those other actors from the series, and it would seem like like an actual police procedural, and that's the problem. I mean, there's so many police procedurals. Why do this one? And I'm very let down that there wasn't much shown of Arnie Johnson at the courtroom. I mean, this actor who plays him, Rory O'Connor, almost gets pushed to almost like a very very supporting character. In his case, is central to the movie, but he's hardly in it. So, and considering the facts of what happened, what were presented, seen in the movie, you could. I mean, the prosecution could very much argue that he stabbed the guy because the man was um, trying to put the moves on his girlfriend. So I mean, but it really just ends with like a dragnet style ending where yada yada yada. He served convicted of manslaughter, served 5 years, whatever. And the main focus is on Ed and Lorraine Warren, which at this moment I don't really think they needed to be the main focus, especially if the case they're investigating is not that important. There is, I mean, the movie just goes all over the place. I mean, they're traveling all over New England, um, and it comes into like a serial killer case. There's a cultist. There's an old clergy, uh, played by John Noble, who was in the Return of the King, Lord of the Rings movies. And then you're just like, what? Okay, what? I mean, if you were to stop this movie and come back and watch it, you might think you actually screwed up and watch something else because it just goes all over the place. And what sucks about this movie is I know the filmmakers really want to make this a franchise. I mean, you got the Annabelle movies, which I didn't really like, or the Nun movies, which I've seen, but I cannot tell you one thing that was in those Nun movies. Matter of fact, I can't really tell you what was in the Annabelle movies except a doll. And what sucks is the real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann like doll. It's not this really humanoid looking creepy doll, but the kid. I mean, once it turns into this working with the police and tracking down all these other things, it just gets boring. It is probably very, very boring, and you will get very, very, very confused. And I was really, really hoping that maybe the filmmakers would have actually shown the a little bit of the court proceedings about how this man Artie Johnson, how his defense team went about saying, well, you know, this guy claimed he was possessed by demons, so not guilty. And that's another thing I think they should have looked at was that if you don't believe in demonic possession, then in a way you don't believe in God. So New England, I'm pretty sure it's a very religious community. Some of those communities are very, very religious. So they're saying, okay, demonic possession is a hoax, but aren't you saying then that there's no such thing as God or Christianity? Now, and this is where the movie really could have actually done some good. This is what I think the exorcism of Emily Rose did, was that it portrayed that notion that, well, if you don't believe in demonic possession, then you're actually saying you don't believe in God and the Bible stuff, and it worked. I mean, it's not the best horror film in the world. It's not The Exorcist. It's not some of these other films like Poltergeist that have been very well liked, but it was actually a very good effort. But The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It is so boring that I just really did. I can't recommend it. And if they're gonna make a fourth Conjuring movie, I hope they can find a better story, because what's so interesting is that that's a real case. That's a real court case. There are probably pages and documents and all the stuff they could have put in the movie, and I feel maybe they didn't because it wasn't that interesting. And how did the jury come to the decision to convict this guy of manslaughter? I mean, we don't know. There's literally, I think there's like maybe one scene, arraignment, and then another scene, the end conviction. And so if you're expecting something like the first two movies, you'll be very disappointed. So watch where you're on risk. So I really do hope they either stop it right now or do a fourth one to make up for the third one. So you never know.